Welcome, friends, to your Longines Symphonette Home Musicale, produced in stirring living sound, to introduce to you the Symphonette's beautiful and exclusive treasuries of the world's most honored and most familiar music. The Longines Symphonette was founded more than 30 years ago, and since that time, we at the Symphonette have had the privilege of entertaining millions upon millions of Americans through radio, television, and famous in-person concerts. That's more than 3 decades ago. But because the Symphonette was specifically designed for broadcast and recording, the Longines Symphonette and the organization behind it are unique. During thousands of studio hours, we have developed a new and dynamic recording technique, our own living sound. In a few moments, you will enjoy the rich measure of vibrant living sound. But to fully appreciate what this new recording advance can mean to you in your own home, turn the calendar back for an instant and listen to an actual recording of the Symphonette exactly as it sounded in 1935. After World War II, great strides were made in recording techniques, and the first high-fidelity records became available. At that time, the Symphonette sounded like this. Still later came the concept of stereo, and so many of the familiar everyday sounds we all know so well would be flat, dull, and uninteresting without stereo. Here, for example, is the sound of a jet passing overhead as you might hear it on the radio or on television. Now, here is that same jet as it really sounds, just as if you were at the airport in living stereo. Let's hear a few more sounds that are with us most every day, sounds we live with, but don't really listen to. Here comes a motor scooter. And and interesting? Yes. But stereo, living sound stereo, can best be enjoyed with music. So here is Maestro Michel Piastro, Dean of American Popular Conductors and the musical director of the Longines Symphonette Society, as he walks to the podium, raps for attention, and with a full symphonette, plays just for you.
Congratulations, and welcome to the Home Musicale division of the Longines Symphonette Society. I am Jim Letty, Director of the Home Musicale division, and here to tell you how you may make every musicale you conduct just as successful and profitable as you desire. Successful and profitable. Two very important words in your new business. The degree of success and profit you attain as a home musicale director is in direct proportion to the efforts you put forth. The name of Longines and the prestige that goes with that fine name is of course helpful, but the success and profit begins with you. Today we are going to discuss the manner and methods of conducting a successful and profitable musicale. There are those two words again, success and profit. Where does the success of your musicale really begin? The day or evening of your show? When you are helping the guests with their selections? All of this is important, but the degree of success you have on all of your home musicales begins at the time and place that you make the initial contact with your hostess. Yes, the day you book the show. Recently, I had the pleasure of introducing our home musicale plan to a woman with several years' experience selling plastics through the home party plan. I learned through the course of our conversation that this person held more $100 parties than anyone else in her organization. I was curious to know just how she accomplished this. She informed me that the key to her success was in good, thorough coaching of her hostesses. From the time she booked her party with the hostess, she was working with her, teaching and coaching her hostess on how to have a successful and profitable show. Yes, she and her hostess were partners. How can we as musicale directors make every show we conduct a success? Let's take a page from the book of our friend in the plastics business. She mentioned the word desire. Desire plays a big part in our business. So let's first find out which of our fine albums or treasuries our hostess would like to have. If she shows a desire for the memory years, we should let her know just how she can earn it. And let's keep her desire alive from the day you book the show to the day you conduct the show. We can say that with a small group of only 7 or 8 people and just one future booking, she should earn the memory years free. Keep that desire before your hostess. Let her know that she can receive any album or treasury that she wants just by inviting enough guests. And with each guest getting a $5 record album free just for coming, how can she miss? So we must first build the desire for the gift. Keep the desire alive. Good hostess coaching also means working with your hostess and helping her to write up a sizable guest list on her successful hostess guide. Remember, your hostess wants her show to be a success just as you do. So once you have completed the back of the guide, you should go over the steps to a successful show with your hostess. It is often an excellent idea to leave our catalog with your hostess to pick up orders from guests who are invited but may have conflicting dates and can't attend the musicale. All you do is give your hostess a catalog and a few musicale programs, instructing her on how to use them. Very often, your hostess will have $30 or more in orders before your show even begins. This can also be accomplished very effectively after your musicale is held by giving your hostess 48 hours to contact a few guests that were invited but had to cancel at the last minute. Remember, your hostess is just as interested in good sales and future bookings as you are. So treat your hostess as your partner in each home musicale you book and see more and more successful and profitable shows every week. The balance of our visit today are known facts taken from the results of many shows conducted by successful home musicale directors. Through studying the results of these shows, we found that each of these home musicales and the musicale directors had one thing in common. The shows followed a proven plan. Now let's go through the way a successful home musicale is held. And as we progress from one step to the next, we will discuss each step and become familiar with the reason it is important and a part of our presentation. At every home musicale, we make 3 sales. We sell our beautiful record treasuries, our record player, and we also sell future bookings. And we sell the idea of others joining us and becoming musicale directors. When first arriving at your hostess's home, you should set up your equipment, making sure you have all the necessary sales aids out of your carrying case and ready to use. Pencils, guest programs, an extension cord so you can set up your stereo in the most conspicuous place in the room. Generally on top of the television set is good, with your speakers as far apart as practical for good distribution of sound. Your album covers and first 6 or 7 records should be in order. So, as you play the first 30 seconds to 1 minute of each record, you should introduce the album as soon as your guests begin to recognize the selection being played. Make sure your demonstration record is the first to be played, and check your record player so it has current going through it. It is also helpful if you have some nice background music softly playing as the guests arrive, and then turn down the volume as you are ready to begin. It is best when the starting time arrives to tell your hostess you are ready so she can let the guests know. If most of the guests are there, you should start the show, assuring your hostess that you will fill in the details to any late arrivals. In starting your opening talk, be relaxed and informal, just as if you were talking to your best friend, not reading to a stranger. And remember, smile.
First, I want to thank our charming hostess, Mrs. Jones, for inviting you to our Longines Symphonette Home Musicale. This is one of the finest things anyone can do for me, and I want you to know I appreciate it. I want to welcome all of you to our Home Musicale, because that is just what it is, a private concert of
As you gain more experience, you will probably put more of your own personality into the opening talk. And in your beginning musicales, it would be wise to learn and use the opening talk as it is written. An easy way to do this is to use your notes for your talks. Remember to use change of pace. Don't talk monotonously at the same tone all through the talk, and look at your guests as you are speaking to them. As soon as we finish our opening talk, we are ready to play our stereo demonstration record. Be sure your stereo is plugged in and working. This should be checked out, as I mentioned, when you first get to your hostess's home and set up your equipment. Just before you start your stereo record, pass several of the large stereo color brochures to your guests. And as they are listening to our record, they will also become familiar with the many advantages of owning our fine stereo record player. When the demonstration record begins, you should take a seat among the guests and be inconspicuous, so your guests may listen attentively to this most interesting and dramatic story of the Longines Symphonette and the history of stereophonic sound.
Welcome, friends, to your Longines Symphonette Home Musicale, produced in stirring living sound. To introduce to you the Symphonette...
This recording is now acting as a vivid, educational sales aid for your guests, and also stresses the beautiful quality and sound of Longines' famous records. As soon as the final chords of the William Tell Overture fade, you should continue along these lines.
How did you like our demonstration record? Interesting, wasn't it? Well, that's just a sample of the beautiful music you're about to listen to from the Longines Symphonette Treasury of Music America Loves Best.
Your next record is already playing. You might ask,
Does anyone recognize this lovely arrangement that's now playing? Right, Mary. That is Begin the Begin. From this excellent album I'm now showing you, Those Wonderful Years. A deluxe 6-record treasury with the songs you grew up with, the music you danced to and called our song. Beautiful selections such as Embraceable You, La Vie en Rose, I'll See You in My Dreams, Night and Day, That Old Feeling, just to name a few. And on the reverse side, as a free premium record, Dixieland Jazz from the Roaring Twenties, including such favorites as Tiger Rag, Jada, When the Saints Come Marching In, and many more.
You should now pass this album to the guest nearest you and ask her to pass it along after looking at the selections in the index. Head into the next album like this.
Here's one I'm sure you'll all recognize. Right, Joan. 76 trombones from The Music Man. One lovely selection from the greatest Broadway show music of all time. Never before such a dazzling pageant of musical Broadway and Hollywood. A grand total of 110 songs and themes, melodies, and overtures you know and love from 40 of the greatest Broadway and Hollywood musicals, including such all-time greats as The Sound of Music, South Pacific, Camelot, The Pajama Game, and many, many more. And as your free premium, Broadway, 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 you might expect to pay as much as $35 for these fine selections. But through our Home Musicale purchase plan, it only takes a small $3 deposit, and the company bills you direct at only $5 per month with no carrying charge. And remember, all our fine records are guaranteed for 3 full years.
Again, you will pass this album cover among the guests as you have done with the others. You should introduce from 4 to 6 treasuries in this manner, and play the introduction music just long enough to acquaint your guests with the familiar sound or until they recognize the selection. Remember, it'll be a temptation to let the music play, but there's plenty of time for that later in the show. And you are apt to lose the attention of the guests if you let this introductory music go more than a moment or so. You should not spend more than 15 minutes on the introduction of these first few albums. We will be passing the balance of our albums around and playing more records later. Now you want the guests to have our musicale programs. So as they listen to the balance of our fine records, they will be able to make their selections.
Now we are coming to the best part of our show. I'm sure that you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we've had many more albums for you to look at and records for your listening pleasure. But first, let me explain our Home Musicale guest program.
Now pass out your pencils and guest lists and explain how to use them. Be sure your guests fill in their name and address first, and continue.
Just a reminder about our generous hostess plan. We give you the finest gifts available for having a musicale in your home. Our own Longines Symphonette record treasuries. And you can apply your credit toward our own stereo record player. Don't forget the opportunity you have to be a Longines Symphonette Home Musicale director like me. It's so easy and lots of fun. I'll be happy to play your requests as you look over our program and come and look at our stereo record player. Remember, you have many, many months to pay.
What you do now depends somewhat on the mood of your guests. Some shows your guests will immediately ask you to play their requests. At others, you will find your guests will sit and study the guest program and not immediately request selections. In any event, you must take the initiative and immediately put on another group of records and pass around the balance of your album covers. Your covers should be placed strategically around the room against various pieces of furniture, so you and your guests can find them easily. As your records are playing, you might announce from time to time what selection and from what album it is playing, and hand the cover to the guest. Now we are into the selection period of our Home Musicale. From here on and all through the selection period, you will be busy among the guests, helping them with their selections, filling in their musicale programs, and asking for your booking dates and talking to prospective recruits. The most important factor in your success as a Home Musicale director is to take the initiative and through your own actions make people do and act as you wish them to. Therefore, when we approach our guest for an order, a booking, or whatever, we must assume she is going to buy. Our only consideration is, How much? The first thing that you do when you approach your guest is to ask her for her program, like this.
Now, Mary, let me help you with your order.
As you take her program, first check that she has filled in all the necessary information, phone number, address, etc. Then look at the treasury she has checked. You should first compliment her selection in this manner.
Well, you certainly made a lovely selection. Sentimental Journey is one of my favorites, too.
As you say this, clarify as to whether she wants this in monaural or stereo. Now, go on to sell her something else.
Mary, I notice you had checked the memory years also. You want that in stereo, don't you?
Go right on to fill in the proper information. Remember, if your guest does not want to buy more, she will tell you. Until that happens, you should assume she wants these other albums that you suggest, or that she has checked. So put your first effort into building up the order. You can easily suggest our lower-priced albums as extra sales. And remember, our albums make marvelous gift items. And with up to 10 months to pay, with no carrying charges, it makes it easy for your guest to order more. It is important to ask your guest what other treasuries she would like to have, even if she is a non-buyer. The reason you want to do this is if your guest says she likes Tijuana Brass or Treasury of the Golden West, can't you now use this as a means to book her for a show? What she is saying is she'd love to have Bing Crosby's Treasury, but can't afford it now.
Well, Mary, you've had a good time tonight, haven't you? And you enjoyed our lovely music, didn't you? Well then, Mary, I just bet you would like to have a home musicale from me, and with your hostess credits, you can earn that favorite album you like so much as a gift. So, Mary, what would be the best day for you? Tuesday or Thursday? 8 or 8:30, or would an afternoon show be better?
Not all of these suggestions work all of the time, but some of them work some of the time. And the only way for you to find out is to try them, and you will find your time well spent in this business, bringing you bigger and better earnings. Remember, you are devoting a certain amount of time to your business each week. Why not make every minute count and use all the available sales aids and knowledge that we at Longines and your co-workers can offer you? Try it, and you'll see. It works. Now, what about bookings? Your bookings are the very lifeblood of your business. How do we book shows? What do we say to prospective hostesses? How do we get them thinking our way? Experience, again, has shown us how we can average booking 1 out of every 4 women we talk to at our shows. You can't wait until the end of the show to get your bookings. You must sell the fun, the entertainment, the culture of a Longines Symphonette Home Musicale from the beginning and throughout the show. Your own manner should be warm and friendly. You should talk about bookings early in the show, at the opening talk. You might mention, as you are introducing the albums later in the show, that my hostess Thursday night selected this beautiful album as her gift for having a musicale in her home. You should talk to your guest about having a musicale in her home when you are totaling their orders. And finally, you should total your booking dates after giving your final talk to the guests and show them what the hostess actually receives. Treat your hostess just as you would any other guest. This is a very important step. You want your hostess to feel free to order, and she will if you treat her as a guest during the selection period. Now that you are ready to give the booking talk, you should have an approximate total of your sales so far. You also should have 1 or 2 of your easy bookings at this time, so it is easy to estimate the hostess allowance. Go to your hostess now and say something like this.
Mary, I've just been going over the guests' programs, and your hostess allowance is about $16. That means, Mary, that you can select almost any album you wish now. So which of our treasuries do you want as your gift?
The chances are excellent that Mary has already purchased a treasury and will now go on to select her gift. On rare occasion, your hostess may ask if she may take what she had selected earlier as her gift. The answer, of course, is yes, but let it come from her. Experience has proven that the majority of your hostesses will buy above their allowance, and very often your hostess will be among the big buyers. Now, be sure your hostess is in the room when you are ready to give the booking talk. Some of the details of what you say will depend on how many bookings you have and whether the hostess has told you which treasury she wants as her gift. But the following talk will be a good guide.
There's one more thing I want to tell you. But first, I'm sure you've had lots of fun and enjoyed our lovely musical selections. I promised I'd tell you how you can have a Longines Symphonette Home Musicale of your own. I've already talked with some of you, and Sue and Anne have already set their dates, and many of you are thinking about it. Now I want to explain our fabulous hostess plan to all of you. When you have a home musicale, we give you a merchandise allowance of 10% credit of the total net sales of your show. Just think of how this can build. You can earn most any album you wish purely as a gift. And remember, all of your guests get a free top-quality Longines Symphonette record just for attending your show. So set your date and invite your friends for a whole new concept in home entertainment. It is so relaxing, entertaining, and educational. You don't have to have a lot of people. You can have a very successful show with just a few of your friends, both men and women. This is fun for the whole family. You can have your show at whatever time is best, morning, afternoon, or evening. Just select a date and I'll help you with the details. Remember, our company is growing and expanding, and there's plenty of room for more people to do just what you've seen me do. So let me know, and I'll see that you get all the details. Thanks again, and I'll be around to talk with you about your Longines Home Musicale date and details about our exciting business being a Longines Symphonette Home Musicale director.
Now we are in the booking period of your home musicale. Your hostess will generally be readying refreshments. Some of the guests will help her. This is good because it breaks up the grouping. You should now approach your good booking prospects. Remember, you have just finished the booking talk and explained how truly profitable it is to hostess a home musicale. You have been specific as to what a hostess will receive for having a show. So some of the people that said maybe before will be ready to say yes now. One of the best ways is to approach the guest and ask,
Did you have fun tonight?
or,
Isn't our music lovely? Tell me, Betty, which would be better for your group, an afternoon or an evening show?
or you can say,
I have next Tuesday or Thursday open. Which would be better for you, 8 or 8:30?
if your guest objects, ask why. When she tells you, with very few exceptions, you can tie her objection down to one objection by saying,
That's a shame, Betty. If it wasn't for that, I bet you'd love to have a home musicale, wouldn't you?
your guest will usually agree with you, and it makes it a little difficult for her to continue objecting to being a hostess. You should answer her objection briefly and dismiss it quickly, and go right on to suggest again which would be the best date for her show. Many of our home musicale directors have had great success with the tentative date, which can be handled very effectively by saying,
Betty, if you did set a date for your show, what is the best day of the week for you? Well, fine, Betty. Let's set it tentatively for Wednesday. Would 8 or 8:30 be better? If you can't have it Wednesday, we can always change it. But I can reserve this date for you, and I'll help you plan your show.
If your guest still objects, avoid a flat refusal and thank her just as if you had booked her. Tell her,
You think about it, and I'll talk to you later. Incidentally, Betty, I'm sure you know some people who would like to make extra money and join our fine organization. Whom do you know who would appreciate a fine opportunity like this?
the important thing for you to remember is you will get bookings and recruits if you ask for them. Don't be discouraged if the first guest, or two, or even three or four refuse. The law of averages is on your side. If you ask enough guests, you will get your bookings, so be persistent. It has been proven time and time again the gay, festive mood of our home musicales create a successful atmosphere for sales, bookings, and recruits. Your success as a home musicale director for the Longines Symphonette Society will come both from your own ability and also from the practical help we at the home office can give you. There will be problems, of course. All businesses have problems. But you will always know that behind you, there are your manager and your home office doing everything possible to help you succeed.